Hello everybody, Fel Arias here, and welcome back to another Epic the Musical analysis. We are going through the songs and animatics I specifically have on my playlist, and today is the Thunder Saga. For those of you who don't know, I specifically only picked out one animatic per song for this playlist, specifically so I could share it with people that I don't think would be too interested in seeing more than one animatic. We are going to go through other animatics and other videos after this is all done. But for now, we're sticking with getting through the sagas, me letting y'all know my headcanons and crazy ideas and theories of what might improve things in my own personal opinion. And if you don't agree with me, that is perfectly okay. We don't have to agree. But there are going to be spoilers. I should have said that at the beginning, but I believe anybody who's gotten this far in the series already knows that these videos are going to be full of spoilers. So if you haven't already watched these animatics or listened to them, or listened to the ones in the future of the Odyssey, of Epic the Musical, I'm going to spoil so much. But I also have a few hot takes for this saga that I've been thinking about and I kind of want to pitch a bit. Not everyone's gonna like them, I guess, but I still want to pitch them because it makes things so much more interesting in my mind. So we are starting with Gigi. And I love just the watercolor aesthetic, the blues and the purples. Definitely has sort of a dream sequence already starting out, because these colors are also known as the colors that help people relax and things like that. So it makes sense in this context. We also get the little hint of maybe this person isn't this, because we got the magic of them putting their hair up and then coming up out of the water. And we get that little ripple. I do like the little stick figure in the background of Penelope with just the dangling hair. But I do want to note just ahead of time, I do enjoy the way Gigi makes it so Odysseus, whenever he's not talking, he's almost constantly looking at Penelope. We don't actually have a name for who this is. So we'll just call them Penelope for now, even though we know they're not. It's the fact that Gigi hints as to what is going to be explained in the next song, just through the actions and animations used in this specific video. Don't you miss me? I mean, I would miss her too. I mean, look at her. She is gorgeous. More than you know. I do enjoy that it takes him a little bit of time to respond. Sort of like how he's processing what she's saying. And jump in the water and kiss me. Penelope, I've told you this before. You know I'm afraid of the water. I love this little Odysseus here in the water and how it's rippling, because water is not the easiest to get down, and we've got just the color in the musical is the fact that so many people who have reacted to this basically go, well, you got into the wrong profession, my man. And many of them are like, what? He's scared of the water? How is he scared of the water? And stuff, and immediately everybody's hackles have go up at this point, but they really go up at the next part, which is, it's really good. I'll make sure that you are safe and sound. Come play with me and our daughter, and let's watch our love leave the ground. I do love the daughter. I don't know if that's another siren or maybe it's a puppet. It could just be a huge gulp of like seaweed that they've tied together to resemble the size of a child. Who knows? This is the other thing where it was very interesting watching a lot of people react and be like, doesn't he have a son? This doesn't seem right. And they are correct. Jorge does an amazing job at this point in the musical being like, yes, you should be suspicious of whoever this is. It's probably not actually Penelope. And anybody with any knowledge of Greek mythology usually has heard of sirens. Whether it's the incorrect version of them, which are used in Jorge's Epic the Musical concept album, and the animatics, which are the mermaid-ish versions, or the actual versions, which are basically beautiful women with arms that are wings, if I remember right. Either way, I don't mind the different types of mythologies being put together. If we want to have them be flesh-eating mermaids, let them be flesh-eating mermaids. Go for it, girls. Go for it. But the kid is just so adorable. Just thinking about it just being a bundle of seaweeds, like just gross seaweed all wrapped up. Just makes me kind of happy. And this focus Gigi puts on Odysseus's mouth, again, hinting at what we end up learning in the song Different Beasts. Oh, such a damsel in distress. I love it. Seriously, look at that face. Look how adorable that figure is. I kind of want that as an icon. I just need to go through some of these animatics and get some profile pictures from these to use and stuff that I don't use professionally, because I wouldn't want to use their art for any professional reason or anything like that. But just for like fun, that's so cute. And she just leaves the child there. Whatever it is, whoever it could be.
Sounds right here, I'm just fine. I can take the suffering from you. You know that I prefer my feet on the ground. I will take the suffering from you.
It's at this point where I start to wonder, why doesn't the siren notice something is wrong? And then I remember nobody has really resisted their song before. I mean, there was the stuff with Orpheus, but we don't know if that stuff happened in Epic the Musical. So I'm not taking that into account. So this might be the first time the siren is getting someone who's resisting. So it might be that the siren does think, this guy is so terrified, he won't go after the thing he wants most in the world. Which, for me, would not be Penelope. It would probably be Food or something, or Nightwing. It wouldn't be what most people expect sirens to sing about. Because many people think that sirens only sing about seduction and sex and stuff like that, and how asexuals would be immune. Guess what? We wouldn't be. We wouldn't be, because sirens sing about what you want most. Whether that be lottery numbers, knowing someone's birthday, or what they want for Christmas, ancient knowledge that has long since died out, the best garlic bread recipe. The sirens offer that sort of information. Whether they actually have it, though, is probably not true. They just know that these people want it so much that they're tempting them with it. There's probably no actual reason to believe that the sirens do have everything people could desire. And I love Odysseus just toying with the siren. He's doing an excellent job of playing hard to get. So he's still keeping her engaged and trying not to make her too suspicious yet. So that's why he's still showing like some attraction and some pull towards her, is he needs her to actually believe that this is working at least a little bit. I love the animation that's coming up with how like chibi Odysseus is. Also, I might have to replay the "oh no," because I just love how the actress decided to deliver that line. It's so perfect. Just in how sarcastic and patronizing it is. Because you can tell she doesn't actually mean it. She does it so perfectly. But be prepared for Gigi's little chibi Odysseus. It's so adorable.
Fine, but only if you answer a question or two.
Of course.
Okay, so let's say I was on the run, or hiding, from, I don't know, Poseidon. And let's say he blocked the way home with giant waves and giant storms.
Oh no.
How am I to evade him? How am I to get home?
Oh no.
Which route should I take? Where am I supposed to go?
And I love the fact that this is the first time he's really asking her a question, and we are focusing in on his eyes. Again, Gigi does an excellent job in this animatic for showing us what exactly is happening and is explained in the next song. Because from here, it's then, you'll see, I want to say it ahead of time so that way I don't interrupt it. But we're about to see it focus on Penelope's face, and Gigi takes some extra frames to animate the mouth to make it move a bit more than usual in these animatics, which are just rough animation. They're animators, is what it comes down to. They just do fewer frames per second. It's still really hard work and really amazing, and you should go follow all of these animatics and everything, because no matter my issues or nitpicks with choices or anything like that, all of these people are still amazing, absolutely amazing, and you should go and watch them. Anyway, let's get to watching Penelope's lips.
He will chase you high and low, so find a place he'd never go. The one way you'll get home is sailing where he's scared to roam.
I wonder if I can catch it.
It's through the lair of Scylla.
Oh, there we go. So I didn't catch it exactly in time. We only see it for like a brief second, but we get to see Gigi's Scylla design as this white outline as Odysseus comes to the realization of, fuck, this is not good. This is really not good. And at this point, he's no longer actually watching Penelope. So I don't think he understands what she is currently saying until she splashes him and draws his attention back. So I don't think he hears any of the rest of this. He's just too distracted by the fact that it's Scylla. People are going to die, is what it comes down to. He knows people are going to die, and if he tells the men, then that's going to complicate matters, because it makes it difficult to get home if he doesn't have a crew to get home with.
This is your only
Using a
way
starfish as a nail
from the
file.
lair of
Gorgeous.
Scylla.
But Scylla has a cost.
You go, Queen.
Well, you asked and now you know. Now jump in the water.
Penelope, why? You know
And then we
I'm
get
shy
focused back on him
and
talking to her.
I would take the suffering from you.
Ooh, for you I would die, but can't you let me stay
I
dry?
can take
Where
the
is the rest of his crew
suffering from you.
at this moment?
Come on to the ship, we'll jump at the same time.
I will take the suffering from you.
The things I do for you.
That is something interesting I find, is that the siren also doesn't seem to consider the fact that there's only this one man on this ship. Where's everybody else? Shouldn't that have also piqued the siren's suspicions? Then again, if they are that brash, and they've likely never been resisted before. So even the concept might not even enter her mind, is what it comes down to. But we're about to see even more of Gigi's awesome siren designs here at the end card. Oh, they're so pretty. Oof. I can't wait to start going over the songs for Stories from the Styx. That will legitimately be a first listen, watch, reaction. I've seen some of the artists' character designs, but I have not seen any of the actual rough animations, and I've not heard any of the actual songs yet. So that is going to be incredibly awesome, in my opinion, when we get to that. So, anyway, I do want to correct myself. I mispronounced this person's name in my previous videos. Jimena. Jimena is the one doing Different Beasts. They are also the one that I talked about having a really funny and interesting, like, Polyphemus video. And I highly recommend their animatics. Again, there's reasons I picked other people's, whether it's for consistency or the fact that I knew most people I was sharing this playlist wouldn't like that style. Because Jimena has a very distinct style. I absolutely adore it. I love the beefy men. I really do. It reminds me a lot of Dragon Ball Z, especially Different Beasts. Reminds me so much of Dragon Ball Z and like classic anime. I was a big Dragon Ball Z fan. I have not watched any of Super or any of that sort of stuff. I believe GT is no longer canon, but I watched all the way through GT when it came out. All the way from the start of Dragon Ball to the end of GT, including all the movies. But everything after that was released after GT, unless we're considering parody videos, I'm actually not up to date on it. There's just too much other stuff to get, like, information on, and you can only use the same formula so many times. It's one of the reasons why I have watched, I don't know for sure, but I believe that I'm only a couple episodes away from being fully caught up with One Piece. Oh my god, there is so much in that series. But a lot of it goes through the same Dragon Ball Z formula of powerful people show up. Oh, we learn a new thing to get more powerful. Then through the power of friendship, we win! Same thing with Naruto, same thing with, like, Bleach. It's a shonen anime. And what better art style to apply to the Odyssey than a shonen art style? It's perfect. It really is perfect, especially the style Akira Toriyama uses for like Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. And you will see what I mean as we're going into Jimena's Different Beasts.
Let's cut the charade. You are no wife of...
And the reason I say it reminds me of Dragon Ball Z is the eye shapes as well. I guess it reminds me more of Dragon Ball because it isn't as... Later on, Dragon Ball Z gets really detailed with the musculature of the characters. This is much more like Dragon Ball than it is Dragon Ball Z. And he really reminds me of Goku or Yamcha. Especially with the hair, he reminds me of Yamcha and the scruff. It's just so good. I promise this is a compliment. I do not mean this in any way. There's a reason I absolutely adore Dragon Ball Z. And I absolutely adore this style. And look at that hand. Look at this posture, this expression. Himena does an amazing job. I honestly cannot praise any of these artists enough. They deserve far more than just words. Anyways, I guess let's get on with it. I can yap about this stuff as we go.
Mine.
Just the detail
You've
of the
been
mouth
trying
moving
to
when you
take
start.
my life this whole time.
Yes.
I know underwater there are packs of you hiding. Yeah, I know exactly what you are. A siren.
And just that half look.
My real wife knows I'm not scared of the water. And my real wife knows I don't have a daughter.
Oh, this is just so beautiful.
But while you were so focused on
Just the way Himena does some of these shots, they definitely are a huge fan of shonen anime. Like, I don't know for sure. I'm not positive. All I have watched is like their animatics and stuff. And thankfully, a fan of Epic came to one of my videos and was like, "You pronounced their name wrong. It's actually pronounced this." And thank you. I do really appreciate that. I put info cards linking to Himena's videos at those points, and I tried to at least put it in the subtitles how it is pronounced. So if people have captions on, they'll at least see that note. And if they have annotations on, they should see that correction as well when I do that. Again, I'm very sorry for mispronouncing their name, because they are one of my favorite Epic animators. Because look at this expression, the shadow over the face and him just looking down. This is Odysseus's villain arc, because he already is the monster. He already is. We know that. Odysseus just doesn't want to accept it, so he's doing what he can to become what he thinks a monster is, because he doesn't really have a line to cross. So he kind of seems to be doing improvisation as what a monster might do, which probably leads to the extra cruelty we see in this video. The perspective of the arm here and just the slow movements, even if that is just sliding the image to the side and sliding him to the side, it's done so well. Like, the timing is so good, Himena.
turning my men into snacks. You didn't notice that your friends got...
And I pause it here because, again, I want to highlight the expressions. Look how fucking cocky this asshole is. Ah. Odysseus, you are one prideful bitch. And that is why we love you. Just this entire, I'm more clever than you are. Oh. The glowing eyes. Once more, this is Odysseus's villain song. Not just because of this, but because he also goes on a villain monologue. Instead of having a song before they interact with the sirens describing what they do to figure out what the sirens know and everything, he just has an entire verse of exposition he says. And he says it to the sirens because all of his men, they still have beeswax in their ears. They still can't hear him, which is, I have to wonder, how are they following his orders? How do they know exactly what to do and exactly what he wants them to do? They would have to keep that that beeswax in their ears, or else the sirens could sing and manipulate them. It's not something that they could go without, and any even hint of any of that beeswax getting loose would make them vulnerable. This is a very insanely risky play on Odysseus's part. This is literally him proving cruelty while hiding it as protecting other humans. Because really, he's not protecting people. He is just making the sirens that witnessed this and didn't get caught, he is making them far more cautious. And even Athena brings that up in God Games later on. Odysseus is not really being all that helpful. He's just making things harder on people by doing this. But he has to show that cruelty and that ruthlessness, which is a common theme in Epic the Musical, to the rest of his crew. At this point, they have been sailing for an insanely long time. So he needs to do something to seem like he's still in control. And cruelty and stuff like that kind of goes a long way. But it gets into something like the most insane. I have an absolutely insane theory. I know it's not true. I don't know for a fact that it's not true. But I'm going to explain a theory at the beginning of Scylla, like when we're at, you guys will know the part. When we're at that part, I have an absolutely insane theory that if any of you want to, if you don't agree, that's fine. But if any of you do agree, or you never thought of it and you can see it, please let me know that I'm not the only one with just this insane take. But anyway, I keep saying anyway, and when we're going back, I keep getting off on tangents. I apologize. I'm sorry. But I just Odysseus looking at me this way. If I was the siren and he had me all tied up and looked at me this way, I would definitely be terrified. Depending on what the ropes were made of. Yes, I would be terrified. Probably.
Snatched.
What?
We are a different beast now. We are the ones who feast now. No more of us.
And I absolutely enjoy Jimena's creature design for the sirens. So many people have amazing creature designs in Epic the Musical. I love them so much. We'll get more on that in the Scylla video, because specifically one of the reasons I picked the Scylla video is for the creature design. Oh, they are beautiful. We got the multicolored markings on them, which is very common in fish, reptiles. And we've got the angler fish dangle in the middle of, which kind of reminds me of Namekian antenna, because I'm still on the Dragon Ball Z kick with the style. It's just so consistent and such a solid style that it just reminds me, some of the artistic choices in this style remind me so much of Dragon Ball Z. It's not a one-to-one. They are definitely two different styles. It's just this one is very reminiscent. And look how beefy he is. He's got that chest. How do his men know to sing along with him? How? And here's what I mean. Sorry I interrupted at the very start, but Odysseus could have just killed them. He could also choose to kill them by cutting their heads off, slitting their throats. Something quick. But no, again, this is Odysseus in his villain arc, purposefully being as cruel as he possibly can be to everybody but him and his crew. So yeah, this is the villain monologue, which is just filled with a shit ton of exposition.
From home for about 12 years or
oh, that hand is gorgeous, Jimena. Okay, I'm pausing here because I also want to highlight something else Jimena does, is the gods are always outlined with a color. Instead of being outlined in black or really dark gray like everybody else, the gods each have their own outline color to separate them with their like divine presence from everybody else. Also, again, comparisons are what happen in reviews, and Cersei looks so much like Chi-Chi. She's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And Polyphemus really, really reminds me of a lot of different villains from Dragon Ball. And then we get Poseidon, and I'm wondering, where did he get the scar? He's a god. How did he... Like, the same reason why I wonder where Neil Illustrator's Poseidon lost his arm. Where did this one get a scar? Was it during, like, the war with the Titans or something? That's incredibly interesting to give a god a physical trait like that. And Eurylochus really reminds me of Krillin. We just got to add a few little spikies in Odysseus's hair and he would basically be Goku. And we have an excellent, like, 3-layer transition in this one image. We've got the bad guys in the red, specifically in the red, and then we go to the middle with the clouds and all the unnamed crew members, like 4 of them. So this is also putting the crew members between Odysseus and Eurylochus and the bad guys. This is it's a very interesting choice in a way, since I should say especially with what happens at the end of the Thunder Saga, showing that Odysseus is running in front of the crew away from all of their foes. Also, I would argue that Aeolus really isn't a foe. Cersei partially was, not entirely. But Aeolus, yes, it was a test that was supposed to be failed. It was still a test because there was a chance of success. If there wasn't a chance of success, it wouldn't be a test. It wouldn't be amusing to the gods. That is what it comes down to. They expect humans to fail and are usually incredibly surprised and impressed when they don't. That is the key. Again, the test needed to be failed, or else we wouldn't have the actual story. Unfortunately. Sorry, Odysseus. Everybody just wants you to be miserable. Sucks to be you.
While on the run from Poseidon, we found a ship with no crew.
So they found a ship with no crew. Why isn't this ship wrecked? How far from the shore is this ship? Can they actually see an island here, like, from this ship? Because I'm pretty sure sirens don't live away from land. They're pretty coastal creatures, coastal and cliff creatures, depending on the type of siren you want to go with. Is very interesting to me, like the assumption that, oh, hey, it was sirens. Did they actually go onto the ship and investigate to make sure that the crew didn't just starve? Maybe the ship could have been blown out of a port. There are many reasons why a ship would be empty, especially in the open sea if there is no land in sight. It likely would not be above the water. I'll give it that. So this must have happened incredibly recently. So a lot of the sirens are probably full at the moment. This is probably going to be a light brunch, or they were hoping it was going to be a light brunch after their big breakfast. And then it turned out to be bad. Because Odysseus is a smart boy, and for once his crew actually listens to him. Aww. It's nice when people actually listen to him. It's almost as if his plans have meaning and purpose and reasons. It's almost as if he's their leader, their king, their captain. Still, I am very surprised that not a single crew member decided not to put in beeswax into their ear.
I realize
Ears.
nearby there were sirens singing sailors to their dooms. We filled our ears with beeswax. That's how we resist your song. You pretended to be my wife, so I just played.
Oh, just this intensity. Odysseus taking no shit, seeing these sirens as, I dare say that he considers them insects at this point. Vermin, with how he's treating them. And the way he is focusing in on her with his glowing eyes and telling her his entire plan and how he accomplished it. Unfortunately, Odysseus is also the protagonist, not just the villain, so yeah, they just, the sirens don't get out of this. Spoiler. Beautiful hands. Beautiful hair.
I read your lips and phrases.
Focusing on the lips, showing his pupil moving.
Every route and horizon. Now I know how to get back to my island.
Look at how proud he is. Aww. What a good boy, Odysseus. He did something. He is so confident at this point, even though he knows what is in his future. And we got the anime protag scar on the cheek, like under the eye. A lot of classical anime, many, and in JRPGs, many main characters had either a scar crossing their nose somehow, over one of their eyes, or along a cheek. And showing all the men to be these creatures, these vicious beings. Like they are the predator and the sirens are the prey. And again, this is one of the reasons why I wonder how the crew actually knows what to do. Because if their ears weren't plugged, they would be following those orders. They would. That's kind of siren magic. They would do what the sirens wanted them to, is what it comes down to it. So how are they following Odysseus's orders? Because he's not even giving them hand signals.
So you can kill the next group of
And
sailors in this part of the sea. You
he's so
wouldn't
cocky.
understand me. I made a mistake like this. It almost cost my life. I can't take more risks of not seeing my wife.
I made a mistake like this once, and it almost cost my life. Yeah, it's almost as if a goddess warned you not to make that mistake, and then you stupidly did it anyway. And then you continue to be stupid afterwards. Perspective. We've got a lot of foreshortening and such going on right here, which is really well done, Jimena. Very well done.
Cut off their tails! We're ending this now. Throw their bodies back in the water. Let them drown.
Once more, we already had the shadowed face in the beginning, where Odysseus still looked partially human. In this one, he is in, like, his expression, other than the one eye, is entirely gone. It is just that eye looking down on these creatures and this darkness covering the top half of his face. This is some villain shit. This is awesome. Not what is actually happening. I will say, I would prefer he had killed them more humanely. At the same time, we never see the siren tails actually enter the water. So I have a feeling the men actually ate those. And they're not the same species, but they are still a sentient humanoid species. So I I don't know if this is an actual term, but it kind of feels like it's kind of kitty corner cannibalism. Kind of like what it would have been if they ate the lotus eaters. I know I made a joke about them eating the lotus eaters, but who knows if the lotus actually turns them into those little creatures. It controls your mind and never lets you leave. We already have magic that turns people into pigs. Who's to say a random fruit doesn't turn you into an adorable little furry thing that only wants to like have fun and be nice to everybody? Probably why there aren't any humans eating the lotus on the Lotus Eaters Island. Probably why there aren't any human bodies to be found. Because I highly doubt that Odysseus and them are the first people to stop by the Lotus Eater Island. So one of the explanation that there are so many Lotus Eaters is that humans turn into them when they eat the lotus. That is one of my own personal, like, crazy theories, which I like personally. I'm not sure how many other people are going to agree with me, but that is one reason why I don't think it would have been good for all the men to go ashore and eat the lotus eaters, is because after they started eating lotus, they'd realize that they ate people, which is, I know there are some cultures where there is a very ceremonial kind of thing for doing something like that. But in many cultures across the world, that is not the case. Usually in cultures, this is frowned upon and frowned upon greatly. So even if the lotus eaters weren't possibly used to be humans, they're still sentient beings that can talk and create communities and understand everything. So it really does, again, feel like that kitty corner cannibalism. And then when it gets to the actual horrors of what they're committing, it goes to black and white and just the red with the blood, the tails everywhere. Again, anime villain energy. Yes! Anime antagonist Odysseus. And then we only see their top halves being thrown back in the water. And some of them are even like holding onto each other. This is insanely sad, Himena. Insanely sad. Oh my god. And then just having this moment of Odysseus reflecting in her eye. Ugh. Himena. Again, my theory is the reason they cut the tails off and threw the rest in the water is so they could eat the tails. Because it's the fishy part. They're desperate at this point. They'll justify it any way they need to. Because, yeah, his men be hungry. They are far hungrier than they were when they found Polyphemus. At this point, they are incredibly desperate. And there's not 600 of them. There's around 43, including Odysseus. Trying to remember all the death. Poseidon specifically says 43 left under your command in ruthlessness. So I think with Odysseus it's 44 people are left. Unless Elpenor actually died on Circe's island, then they are 43 when including Odysseus. But we don't actually know if Elpenor died or not. Even if Gigi gave us that little hint of Elpenor up on Circe's roof drinking, that was great. And next, we have Scylla by Annie Tigerfly. And I want to pause it here because, yes, warning, blood, gore, horror. I will say Scylla, for the animatics alone, is probably one of my top 3 songs. I absolutely love the creature designs. I don't love them as much as other people do. You know who you are, and I don't kink shame. But this Scylla is so interesting because it's one of the few that is not a sea monster. So it's based more on the actual story where it's dogs. She has 6 dog heads as her lower body. She's not a sea monster. Not knocking anybody that makes her a sea monster, because those are still so fucking cool. Highly recommend, if you enjoy creature design, just go look up Scylla videos and see everybody's different interpretations of Scylla. They are all intense. And granted, this is an intense song. I'm also going to say at the beginning, I have no idea how Scylla is communicating with Odysseus, how Scylla knows all these things about Odysseus. Unless maybe a god or somebody came and gave Scylla the tea. Who knows? Maybe somebody came by and was like, Scylla, you bored? I hear about this guy named Odysseus. Check out what he's been doing. He pissed off Poseidon. And then maybe a siren that survived swam here and told Scylla that they were, like, Odysseus and his crew were on the way. Because they know Odysseus' name because the crew were singing it there at the end. Then Scylla just goes, Odysseus, in my cavern, in my lair, the tea. I love making Scylla a chatty bitch. No reason to do it other than the fact that how else would she know so much about the people on this ship? Unless a god or someone gave her a pay-per-view screening of what's been going on. And is her voice just in Odysseus's head? Or is Odysseus giving her a voice? Is this all in Odysseus? Is the singing and song all just in Odysseus's head? Because there's no way the men can also hear it at this point. Absolutely no way. They might be hearing the terrifying shouting part of drown in your sorrow and fears and stuff like that. But the rest of it is solely Odysseus. Especially the last part where he just randomly starts singing, I. How does he know when to tune in? How does he know that's what she's saying? Just logistical things that my brain is like, this is hard. Even with suspension of disbelief, it is very difficult. So thus I fill in the gaps. So we get the gossipy Scylla with a god who definitely doesn't mind their own business and just has been watching everything unfold with Odysseus.
The lair of Scylla. This is our only way home.
Now, if Odysseus is singing this, is he singing it to himself, or can Eurylochus and stuff hear him? Do they know who Scylla is the question, because it seems like not all of them do, and I will state right now, Odysseus is a piece of shit for not telling them and giving them the choice to go starve on an island, like starve to death on an island, or try to make it home. He is an asshole for not giving them that choice. At the same time, they might have just left him on an island to starve to death. So there is method to his selfishness and madness. Is it the right thing to do? Hands down, probably not. It's not the greatest thing to do. Is it the most logical thing he can do in order to accomplish his goals? Which is how Odysseus usually thinks. Most logical thing to accomplish his goals. The answer is yes. It's most logical not to tell them, because chances are more of them will survive. Granted, they could survive on any island they drop them off at, but the likelihood of that is still incredibly small. But we should also really appreciate Scylla's arts and crafts. She took these skulls and made them a wreath. Granted, they're still skulls, but when you live in a lair and you don't have many crafting materials, you work with what you have. And I appreciate it. I appreciate what she's done in order to make her place a little more homey.
Deep down,
You're quiet today.
deep down.
Not much to say.
I enjoy Annie Tigerfly's very sketchy style in a way, and how old they make Odysseus look, because Odysseus is in his At youngest, he's mid-30s at this point. At the absolute youngest, he's probably in his mid-30s. He doesn't get home until he's in his late 30s, early 40s at best. What's the key here is Eurylochus already knows that Odysseus is upset. He's known Odysseus in Epic the Musical from everything we've picked up on, all the animatics we've watched so far in this playlist specifically, that Odysseus has known Eurylochus since childhood. They've been very close with one another. He is his second in command. So he would know that this would be a terrible time to bring up bad news. He would know. It just comes down to the fact that why would he want to bring up such bad news in this circumstance?
Deep down,
You hide a reason for
I
Puppy!
got a secret I can no longer keep. Deep down,
You know that we are the same.
I opened the windbag while you were asleep.
So I'm wondering, again, if this is just Eurylochus talking to Odysseus. Because do you realize how fucking pissed the men would be? The men on this ship specifically? The men who knew the storm was inside that bag? The men who saw their king stay awake for 10 days? Saw him force himself to stay conscious, to protect the bag with his life until he physically could no longer keep himself awake. And then immediately when the bag was opened, the storm came out and they went to Poseidon and over 500 of them died. Would the men be so stupid that they wouldn't be upset with Eurylochus over this? Because I'm wondering how many of the men actually know who opened the bag. Was it a solo operation? Was it a group operation? Odysseus at this moment, I'm pretty sure is like, I want to kill him. But they are going through Scylla's cave. I don't think he'd be too broken up about Eurylochus dying at this point, to be honest. He would still be sad, but he'd be more okay with it than if he'd died earlier, sort of thing. But knowing that Eurylochus opened the windbag, is the one who defied his straight up order not to touch the windbag, the person he was supposed to trust the most betrayed him. The only reason I can see Odysseus not telling the crew who would also want to kill Eurylochus, the only reason I can see him not doing that is they need the bodies. That's what it comes down to. He doesn't know who's going to get eaten, but he knows at least 6 people are going to die at this point. It all depends on how fast they can get through this lair. Because he doesn't know how to navigate, he doesn't know where the exit is, and he knows those puppies be more hungry than his crew be. Because them puppies can't die, but they can still starve. They just can't starve to death, I'm guessing. They're gonna want their Scooby snacks. Still, this is why Odysseus is like, at this point, it's not worth it.
Leaving them feeling betrayed.
Because he's waiting to see what Odysseus does, and then
Sorry,
There is no price we won't pay.
forgive me.
We both know what it takes to survive.
okay, so now time for my absolutely insane batshit theory. I already know that. I know this is an absolutely insane theory. Nobody needs to tell me how insane it is, okay? Nobody needs to tell me how fake it is. This is a theory. I'm putting this together as my own personal headcanon because it seems so crazy that it just might work. At Circe's Island. Now, you've heard me say that they should have done another announcement of the windbag somewhere in the Underworld saga in order to do rule of threes, so that it had more of a, oh, this is what's happening, like punch when Eurylochus comes forward with this information in this song. If they're not doing the rule of threes, then I think Eurylochus was trying to tell Odysseus who opened the windbag, not that it was him. I think the person that opened the windbag and Eurylochus are 2 different people. Now, why would Eurylochus say he opened the windbag at this point? We already know these men have been going through a lot, they've been suffering a lot, and what is the most honorable way for a person to die? What is a way they could die and still be put to rest and have a proper burial and stuff is if they fought someone and were killed. Because I always wondered why, knowing Odysseus is not in a good mood, would Eurylochus decide this is the moment for this? Unless he's specifically hoping Odysseus is in a bad mood. He wants to fight Odysseus. And it makes mutiny make so much more sense. Because there are reasons why I don't think mutiny works fully. It does work. It just is not as impactful and meaningful as it could be. I also have my problems with like luck runs out and how it's fake, how Eurylochus is just kind of making shit up and luck runs out. But here's what I'm going to say. I think Eurylochus is actually clever. I think Eurylochus is actually kind of smart. Is he on Odysseus's level? Hell no, which is why he doesn't have as much pride as Odysseus and why he is able to say, oh, hey, we lost, let's run. Eurylochus has common sense intelligence. Makes so much more sense if he's bringing this up at this moment for a reason. Because other than doing it for that reason and wanting to fight Odysseus and all of that sort of stuff, it has no plot purposes other than pushing the song forward. At this point in the story, we don't need to know who opened the windbag. We really don't. Unless there's a reason behind who opened it. And I like the idea that Eurylochus knows who opened it and was going to tell Odysseus at Circe's island. And then he's like, okay, Odysseus doesn't want to listen to me. We've already lost enough men. Maybe I should keep this to myself. And that's why he doesn't bring it up again until this moment. Again, absolutely batshit theory. You don't have to believe it. You don't have to go with it. I know it's batshit, but I like it. Yes, Eurylochus is not as dumb as I thought he was. He's still very dumb. All of Odysseus's men are super dumb, but Eurylochus is actually kind of smart. He kind of is, if what I'm thinking is happening, and he's trying to manipulate Odysseus. But it doesn't work because Odysseus knows the more distractions they have, the greater the likelihood that most of them get out alive. He's still shocked and upset by it. That doesn't change it, but he knows as the leader, he cannot let it impact him at this moment.
Light up 6 torches.
I am going to say I wanted to pause it here before it gets further because, this next scene is so amazing. Annie Tigerfly does such a fucking amazing job at this because no one else actually has Odysseus looking for an exit. No one else has Odysseus looking for their way out. They need the light so they can traverse this lair. It also just so happens that it makes certain people easy targets. 2 birds, 1 stone, because I can see Odysseus's reasoning, and they did need the light. None of them have dark vision. This is not a D&D campaign, and even if it were, humans do not naturally have dark vision. So there's no way he could possibly see anything. There's no way any of them could actually navigate through any of this. And even then, it would be absolutely insane to try to go through this place without light. To go through a cave they don't know. Who knows about the rocks or how deep the water goes? Who knows about any of that? This would just be a batshit crazy idea of its own, unrelated to mine. Doing this is so insanely fucking crazy. They don't have spotlights. They don't have floodlights. They don't have any way to navigate in a dark cave, in a lair. There are so many reasons why they can't do what Eurylochus even mentions in Mutiny. It's absolutely bonkers. Those are unfortunately the logistics of this creative choice that don't really pass the litmus test of suspension of disbelief, because it all starts falling apart when you actually think about it. God, the songs are still such bangers, though. Absolutely adore the music in the songs. They're so fucking good. And the animators, yes. This is what this playlist is for. This is to appreciate people. This is to to spout my own critiques and analysis while also appreciating the fact that this was hard work. This took people's time. I appreciate them for their efforts. It doesn't mean I can't be critical of it. And all of these things are minor nitpicks. For like the billionth time through these videos, I absolutely adore Epic the Musical, the concept album. Do I hope that it gets refined more? Absolutely. Is there anything in it that's going to make me stop listening to it? Probably not. Epic the Musical has brought this artistic community together to create. I have never really seen this before. Have I seen fan animatics before? Yes, most definitely. There are tons. I've seen so many anime music videos and shit like that. But nothing compares to this. This allowed specific artists and even unknown artists, even small-time creators and stuff, it allowed so many people to flourish and not only practice their talent, but get their talent seen by a lot of people who usually would not see it. This is enabling so much more connection and contacts in general than so many other musicals and stuff have. And the reason is because people love it. Some people love it so much that they cannot see any flaws with it. And that's fine. They can have their opinions. They can think Epic is perfect. That's perfectly okay. Doesn't change the fact that I don't. And they're not going to convince me otherwise. So don't bother. I love it for what it is, and I love the passion put into it and the idea behind it. Back to this animatic with Annie Tigerfly. Oh boy. We see Annie Tigerfly is already hinting that there's a current over here in the corner. And I know I'm pointing towards my screen when really it's probably over here, I think. Depending on how I set up my camera, it could be over here. We got the little torches on the boat. Before I begin, there is one more reason why Odysseus would not tell the men about what's going on. It's not a good reason, but it's a very logical, cold-hearted one, which we kind of have established that Odysseus is kind of... Okay, in Epic the Musical, it's hard to make that argument. But Odysseus is supposed to be a smart boy. Odysseus is supposed to be really, really, really intelligent. He's supposed to be very, very tactful and have, like, tactics down. He's supposed to be a master of planning. So it makes sense that he wouldn't tell the men specifically for this reason. He needs them to panic. He needs them to be unpredictable. There is nothing he could have planned to get them through this. If there was a way to plan to get through this, he would have done it. There was not a way to actually get out of this without people dying. So he decided, let as few people die as possible. And they were acceptable losses in his mind at this point in his journey because this was his only choice. To kind of put out the fire of my batshit crazy insane idea, if they had announced the windbag stuff in a prior song and had Eurylochus confessing earlier as maybe a way to convince Odysseus to go into Scylla's lair, that would have been interesting. Like if we had a song between different beasts and Scylla where Odysseus was considering his options, which are none. It's just Scylla. But he still had the difficult choice of choosing to take his men there, to order them to sail into Scylla's lair. He still made that choice. The only other real plot point I can see where we could put the windbag in and make so much more sense is at that point if Odysseus was struggling with the idea of going through Scylla's lair or trying desperately to find another way. I think Eurylochus mentioning the windbag would push Odysseus over the edge. That's another thing that could happen. That would make Eurylochus admitting he opened the windbag have more of a punch instead of what it does here.
Lonely demons from hell.
Captain, something approaches.
Hello.
I want to highlight the highlights that Annie Tigerfly does in this scene. Ugh. Just the roughness of the fur. You can barely see anything except the teeth and the eyes because all they have are those torches. That's it. Scylla would be in complete shadow because they don't have any other light. This would be terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. So when Odysseus screams, "Run for your lives," that is to try to make it so as many men survive as possible. It's also to give the dogs something to go after to grab their attention instead of going after the people, say, steering the ship, rowing the ship. Because if they lose any of those people, they're fucked. It is complete foobar at that point if they lose anybody in those positions. So that is another very cold-hearted and calculated decision that Odysseus made, and another reason why he didn't tell the men. He's an asshole. He's a really big asshole for this. We're about to see her mouth open up, and I really, really love the way Annie Tigerfly does that. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to pause on it. I'll try to pause on it. But if I don't, just watch for that because it's really cool because she opens up like from the top of her mouth all the way down to her mid-chest. Such an interesting interpretation, and the way Annie Tigerfly draws dogs, absolutely adore these puppies. If they wouldn't eat me, I would happily cuddle with them. It would not be the worst thing in ancient Greece. I have to have that caveat of not being eaten. So Odysseus is going to purposely panic the men to make them more difficult targets and to draw the attention of the dogs.
Run for your life!
She's just sicking them on him. And that guy was going to die anyway. He fell off the ship. Again, if that guy got eaten, they would have died. All of them. There we go, yes. Just all the teeth. And we get someone pushing Eurylochus out of the way. That seems to be a common thing. I think that might have to do something with the live stream. Am I going to say that Odysseus specifically wanted Eurylochus to die? I don't know. Oh, they were such cute puppers. And we get this beautiful, like, the ship jumps out and splashes down into the water. It is still a fucking miracle they survived that. That the ship wasn't destroyed. That they didn't shipwreck. That is a fucking miracle. But I love how, look how just happy the puppies are. They probably haven't had anything to eat in who knows how long. Which I know their main meal is people. That's most monsters' main meal, is what it comes down to. And again, I have no idea how Odysseus joins her at this point. Unless this was all in his head, which also wouldn't make sense. One other reason I chose Kisu Doodles is the next anime. This is Annie Tigerfly. Another reason I chose Annie Tigerfly's Scylla, other than just the Scylla design, is the boat is fucked up. Their ship is in terrible condition. They are likely hardly able to actually sail it properly at this point. Who knows how much actual hull damage and stuff they've suffered. And this is one of the reasons why Eurylochus's arguments in Mutiny don't make so much sense unless my insane batshit idea. But then we get this gorgeous picture of all the puppies being pet. Like this chalk drawing. And it looks like there are actual people petting them and like cuddling up with them. Oh, I wouldn't mind that job. Out of all of the bullshit jobs of ancient Greece, playing with puppies, that would be fantastic. And I'm also not afraid of large dogs. I should also say that. Most of the dogs I've been around most of my life have been 80 pounds minimum. They've been larger dogs. It just wouldn't be that insane of an idea in my head. Would I like the fact that they eat humans? Probably not. I don't like that idea at all. They do what they have to do to survive. That's what the song is. Well, that is the end of the first half of the Thunder Saga. I am separating these out into 2 videos because it is currently 3 hours and 15 minutes of me just ranting and watching these animatics, and I don't know how much I'm going to cut out, but these were absolutely amazing. Thank you all so much for watching, for tuning in, for listening to me rant. I hope very much that you have a wonderful day. If you agreed with any of my ideas, I would like to know, please. I hope I'm not too crazy with my ideas or headcanons or anything like that. But it's just stuff my brain finds interesting. And I want to know if other people, when thinking about it, can also see that same result. Take care. Bye-bye.